Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. Everything here is wonderful. One of our longtime friends, Fearsome Warrior, posted a comment on the video I did about what to teach kids. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll put it here on the screen, assuming I remember to do that. But I took something away from that I've meant to talk about in the past, and maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Regardless, it's worth revisiting from time to time because it's a lesson I think that we learn a lot throughout our lives and forget to embrace when it happens, and that is knowing what's possible. He said, teaching kids to know what's possible, or the way that I look at that is you don't know what you don't know, and oftentimes what you don't know is the solution to whatever problem you're facing. And that might seem obvious, but it might not be obvious either, right? So what I mean by that is, as a software developer, I keep going back to this find and replace thing. Let's not use that as an example, but say that find and replace thing that I just wrote is a problem that I'm having. Struggling to understand how to implement this find and replace thing. And when I started it, I went into my mental memory bank and I went, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this. And I did that. And then I thought, well, what about this and what about this? And I went, oh, well, now I have to adjust for this and adjust for that. And I started going through the things that I know and trying to transpose those into something that would work. In the end, I probably could have got it done that way. Probably could have made that work. Just brute force. Because I have a bank of knowledge about programming and I know that these tools and these tools, when combined, will do this. But it's probable, especially with something like that, something where there is a known solution, like it's a known issue, there's probably already a solution out there. And so for the most of my time as a programmer, I've been a PHP developer. I've worked on just, not web services type stuff, just straight templating pages. I'm not even doing, APIs or anything like that. Just basic, page manipulation stuff through PHP with some CRUD stuff and MySQL and all that stuff built in. With the side job, I don't know why I'm so choked up. With the side job, I'm now dealing with JavaScript. And I will attack problems on the JavaScript side of things as if it were PHP, using my knowledge of PHP and kind of, reforming it into JavaScript. And what I have found over and over and over again is that there's probably either a built-in function or a simple package I could find that does exactly what I'm trying to create with my PHP knowledge in JavaScript. And I think that's the lesson here. It's the hardest struggle you are going to have is learning that you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes that knowledge is what's going to take you to the next step. And so I think that knowing what's possible is a valuable thing, right? It's why we teach kids art. It's why we teach kids music. It's why we take kids to science museums, because they can see that, this is what, brilliance or hard work or whatever you want can do for you. You could do this. At the same time, telling somebody that their idea won't work because it's not possible can be damaging, right? Like saying that won't work, it's not possible, especially to a child. I would prefer to say, let's give it a shot. Let's see what you can come up with. Because while a young child is going to have some farcical ideas, they're going to obviously have ideas that are not based in our physics-based reality. They're going to come up with ideas that are simply not doable. What you might find by taking that path with them is that you come up with something that is in the spirit of their original idea. I would say if you haven't shown your kids the show Making Fun on Netflix with Jimmy DiResta and Paul Jackman and Derek from Malden and a whole bunch of YouTubers made this show, go show it to them. Because that is the literal representation of what I'm trying to say. They took pitches from kids on things kids wanted them to invent and turned it into something workable. And a lot of the things the kids suggested were just not doable. They're just not physically possible. But they were able to create things that are within the realm of what that child was imagining. And here we are at the end. And if you take your own kid on that journey, or yourself, take yourself on that journey, have a farcical idea, come up with something that's not doable, and see what you can create from that. Because that's the power of invention and the power of discovery. That's when you're going to find out, well, wait, what if I do this? And nobody's ever had that thought before, and you try to do something a completely different way, and now you have something novel and new. I know those are kind of the same word. So I would say that the power of learning what is possible, what others have created, and the power of learning what isn't possible are all related in the same idea of you have to be able to learn to challenge yourself with new things, but also learn how to, learn how to research. I think that's the real big key, because research is how you're going to learn what you don't know, right? Learning to say, I'm struggling to do this. I'm struggling to cut these dovetails that I'm working on here, right? I know how to cut dovetails. I've cut dovetails before. I'm struggling with how to cut dovetails on the end of this board. I don't know. I've never done that. How do I get my saw started? Well, what I have learned is you don't cut dovetails on the end of this board. You cut dovetails slightly inside the edge. So you leave yourself a saw blade's width shelf up here to start the cut on. So you're not cutting on the edge. I didn't know that. I had to go research. I had to go look it up. Like, how do I do this? This isn't making any sense to me. And so, realizing that there's a better way and being willing, or there might be a better way, not that there is, that realizing that it's worth your time to research to see if there is a better way is invaluable. I'll tell you this story. Em absolutely loves to tell this story. It's her favorite thing ever. I have lived in this house now for 11 years. She's been staying here for 4-ish, 5-ish years, something like that. Early on in our relationship, she would notice, so I had been living here for 8 years at that point or so. She would notice that when it was trash time, when it was time to take the trash out of the kitchen bags, the kitchen can, I'd take the bag out, and I would put the bag at the top of my basement steps. I don't have a landing at the top of my basement steps. I just have steps. And so I would open the door, and I would try to do this balancing act to get the trash bag to sit at the top of the steps, so that the next time I came downstairs, I could just bring the trash down with me. That's what it was for. It's like, I'll hang it here, I'll put it here, set it here, figure that out. And at some point, she said, I don't know how many times she's heard the trash bag roll down the stairs because it didn't stay balanced. She looked at me and said, have you ever thought about putting the drawstrings on the trash bag over the banister? No. It never occurred to me. Not ever in my entire life. I did the same sort of thing at my old house. I did the same thing here. Never once occurred to me. And she absolutely loves telling that story. Just like but it's that same thing. I didn't really think of that as a possibility or as a means to fix my problem. I know how to balance things, how to set center of gravity, and so I was attacking a problem with the knowledge that I already had, instead of saying, wait, let's pause, is there a better way? And I think that's the real skill. That's the real skill to learn, is that you might have all the knowledge in the world on a particular subject, but that knowledge might not be the best way to attack this adjacent problem. There might be better ways that you can find on the new problem than trying to mold your current knowledge into a solution. Yeah, that's a good skill to develop. So he's absolutely right. Teach your kids how to do the research in order to solve the problem, not try to force the problem, force a solution. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is pugnacious. It's an adjective meaning some who always wants to argue and debate every last thing. Teenagers are pugnacious by nature. If I say no, he invariably asks why. Pugnacious. P-U-G-N-A-C-I-O-U-S. Man, I like that word. I've never heard that one before. I know some very pugnacious people, and maybe I'm one of them.